An early morning fire breaks out in a lithium-ion battery factory in Hilliard today, forcing neighbors to evacuate. What authorities are saying about what happened.
Wind and mountain snow wind down across the region. The next few days starting to look a lot milder with the chance of sun in the forecast.
Then we speak with a legal expert about the Coeur d'Alene Town Hall controversy involving a woman dragged from the room.
The rules of the First Amendment are supposed to apply in a nonpartisan way.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you here tonight. I'm Whitney Ward. We begin tonight with the latest on a destructive and fast-moving fire at a lithium-ion battery facility in Hilliard. It broke out early this morning and forced evacuations and sparked a hazmat concern.
One home remains evacuated at this hour. KREM 2's Regan Gallo has been at the scene all day today. She's joining us live tonight with what we have learned so far. Regan?
Hey, Mark and Whitney. Yeah, so the smoke from the building behind me has been pretty steady all day. I've been here all afternoon and the smell in the area is still strong as well. Now, we do know the company name. It's Max Amps lithium batteries, and authorities also report that almost everything inside the building is damaged.
The Spokane Fire Department and the Department of Ecology say any toxic exposure in the soil or water is contained to the building and the property line. As for toxic exposure in the air, authorities say they were not concerned based on the readings from air monitors.
The winds today, for us, it's actually fairly good that we had these winds. That gets that smoke up out of here, dilutes it just like it is in water.
But both parties say managing fires caused by lithium batteries is still something they are learning about. They tell us fires from lithium batteries are very hard to put out.
It's still a fairly new problem to us in the fire service, but we're starting to see that more nationwide, having these battery fires turn into bigger events, and that's what's happened here today. This is technically this is the largest event we've had with batteries in the city for sure, maybe in the state.
Hazmat crews were on scene earlier, assessing the damage.
This incident will transition over to a environmental cleanup contractor, and they'll do testing, and we'll work with them to determine the limits for what the remediation limits for the soils or any of the other contamination on the site.
Officials also say there were no injuries. However, there is one nearby home that is still evacuated. We are told those 3 people who live in the home will be receiving resources from the Red Cross.
And as for toxic exposure, authorities say the only concern now is the property in the building as well as the neighboring home. We did reach out to Max Amps lithium batteries to comment on the incident, and we are still waiting to hear back. I'm reporting here in Hilliard, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Regan, thank you very much. Idaho prosecutors say a man charged in the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students should not be allowed to offer an alibi defense unless he takes the stand himself during the murder trial later this year.
In newly released court documents, Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson asked a judge to limit any alibi evidence during Brian Kohberger's trial. He also asked 4th District Judge Stephen Hippler to limit evidence about any psychiatric evaluations Kohberger may have undergone, as well as arguments about an alternative perpetrator of the crimes.
Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of murder in the deaths of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez, those students who were killed back on November 13th of 2022. Prosecutors have said they will seek the death penalty if Kohberger is convicted.
Police say a man who tried to sell stolen equipment from the Spokane Fire Department was arrested in Moses Lake.
Investigators say a Spokane firefighter spotted the equipment for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and that's when authorities in Spokane notified police in Moses Lake. The stolen equipment was full turnout gear, including pants, a jacket, a respirator, and a helmet. Authorities say a Moses Lake police officer negotiated the sale of that stolen equipment and then arrested the suspect named Christopher Rock. He is charged with trafficking in stolen goods. All right, take a quick break from the headlines to talk weather tonight. It's been one weather impact alert into another for the last, week or so?
At least, yeah.
Goodness.
Let's get past that. I think that we're about to turn the corner, and Jeremy says that we're going to see some calmer conditions, at least for a while, right, Jeremy?
This is the first 7-day forecast you guys have seen in quite a while with no red on it.
Whew.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be. This should be the norm, but it has been a wild ride. Remember the bitter cold? That's what started all of that. Then more than a foot of snow, then almost an inch of rain on top of all of that snow melting. It has been a wild ride, and it all ends today with wind. We have winds out of the southwest at about 24 miles per hour, and we've seen gusts as high as 53 miles per hour today. Wind is going to die down and snow is going to exit. We are on the tail end of our weather impact alert. 55-mile-per-hour winds prompted that wind advisory, and it does run for another hour. It will expire at 6 p.m. as our wind calms down. Notice it is much calmer moving through the night and early tomorrow. A big change from where we've been. Snow also is starting to wind down. We had winter weather advisories in place for 5 to 10 inches of snow above 4,000 feet. Still seeing some of that snow come down, and it's coming down pretty good. I think another couple of inches aren't out of the question over 4th of July and Lookout passes. Snow doesn't exit the region until about midnight. Rest of us just get to enjoy the calmer conditions. 48 degrees tomorrow under partly cloudy skies, 51 on Thursday, 53 on Friday with sunshine dominating, and believe it or not, it's even better on Saturday.
So a fundraiser for a North Idaho woman dragged from a town hall continues to grow tonight. Friends close to Dr. Teresa Borenpol tell KREM 2 News she could hire an attorney within days.
In our effort to bring you more to every story, we wanted to hear from the experts about what rights you have at events like the town hall and if this type of forcible removal is legal.
KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy spoke with a Gonzaga law professor.
Well, we know from that fundraiser and from speaking with close friends of Dr. Borenpol, she does plan to hire an attorney. So we wanted to find out what kind of case she could have and how your right to free speech applies in situations like this.
There's an opportunity for you to sound off.
Public town hall or private event? That's been a big question ever since Dr. Teresa Borenpol was pulled from her seat. So we questioned an expert, GU law professor Erica Goldberg.
Yeah, the way that this is being talked about in the public right now is a bit surprising to me.
Goldberg says the law is nonpartisan and pretty clear.
Across the board in a nonpartisan way, like coordinated efforts to disrupt are not allowed because that's the opposite of free speech anyway.
She says the town hall would likely be a public event.
However, it's not like a public street or park. It's what we call a limited public forum. So the government can limit the event to certain topics or certain speakers.
But whether Dr. Borenpol has a successful case of constitutional violation hinges on a few factors. Her free speech rights may have been violated, Goldberg says, if she wasn't repeatedly disrupting the meeting or if she wasn't alone in her outbursts.
And lots of other people were engaging in isolated heckling that weren't shutting down an event, and they targeted her for who she is and for her views.
Goldberg says there will likely be scrutiny over whether security guards were acting under the oversight of Sheriff Bob Norris.
It does then likely convert it into state action, and it will be scrutinized under the First Amendment and likely under the Fourth Amendment as well.
A battery citation against Borenpol was dropped by the county prosecutor. Coeur d'Alene police say in the interest of justice.
Which means the police are worried that she has I think the fact that they're dropping this claim means they are worried that she has a viable lawsuit.
Sheriff Norris declined our interview request at the advice of his counsel, but a sheriff's office PIO tells me that Sheriff Norris actually requested the independent investigation into his own conduct at that meeting for transparency and public trust. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Still ahead tonight, a federal judge in Seattle blocks another one of President Trump's proposed moves.
Also, the Department of Government Efficiency continuing with job cuts, more on the confusion and the local impact. That's coming up in just 3 minutes.